The Legend of the Holly. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled in the heart of England, there was a little girl named Holly. Holly loved Christmas more than anything in the world. She loved the twinkling lights, the smell of cookies baking, and the joy that filled the air. But most of all, Holly loved the beautiful decorations that adorned every home, especially the shiny green leaves and bright red berries of the holly plant. One cold winter's day, Holly and her family were preparing for Christmas. They decorated their cozy cottage with strings of lights and colorful ornaments. Holly's favorite decoration was the holly wreath that her mother hung on their front door. She loved its shiny leaves and cheerful red berries. As Holly was helping her mother decorate the house, her grandmother sat by the fireplace knitting a warm scarf. Holly loved listening to her grandmother's stories, especially the ones about Christmas. Today, Holly's grandmother had a very special story to tell. "Come here, Holly," her grandmother called softly. "I have a story to share with you about the holly plant and why it is so special at Christmas." Holly's eyes sparkled with curiosity as she sat down beside her grandmother. "Tell me, Grandma, I want to know why the holly is so special." Her grandmother smiled and began her tale. Many, many years ago, in a time long forgotten, there was a small village just like ours. The people in the village loved Christmas and decorated their homes with holly, just as we do. But there was something very special about the holly in this village. It was said that the holly plant was a gift from the forest fairies, who wanted to spread joy and protect the villagers during the cold winter months. Holly's eyes grew wide with wonder. "Forest fairies? Really, Grandma?" "Yes, dear," her grandmother replied. The forest fairies loved the villagers and wanted to make sure they were safe and happy. The holly plant had magical powers. Its sharp leaves were like tiny swords that could keep away any bad spirits, and its bright red berries were like little drops of joy, reminding everyone that even in the coldest winter, there was still happiness and love. Holly listened intently as her grandmother continued. One Christmas Eve, a kind and gentle fairy named Bellis flew into the village. She saw the holly wreaths on the doors and smiled. But then she noticed that one house did not have a holly wreath. The house belonged to a poor old woman who lived alone. She was too old and frail to go into the forest to gather holly, and she had no family to help her. "That's so sad," Holly whispered, feeling sorry for the old woman. "Yes, it was," her grandmother agreed. But Bellis, the fairy, had a big heart. She decided to help the old woman. Bellis flew into the forest and found the most beautiful holly plant she could. She carefully gathered the shiny green leaves and bright red berries and flew back to the old woman's house. Bellis hung the holly wreath on the door and whispered a magical spell. The holly began to glow with a warm golden light, filling the old woman's home with warmth and joy. Holly smiled, imagining the old woman's happiness. "That was very kind of Bellis," she said. "It was," her grandmother agreed. The old woman woke up on Christmas morning and saw the beautiful holly wreath on her door. She felt a warmth in her heart and a joy she had not felt in many years. She knew that someone had thought of her and cared for her. From that day on, the old woman never felt lonely again because she knew that she was loved. Holly looked up at her grandmother with wide eyes. "Is that why we hang holly wreaths at Christmas, Grandma? To remind us that we are loved and to keep away bad spirits?" "Yes, Holly," her grandmother said with a gentle smile. "The holly reminds us of the kindness and love we should share with one another, especially at Christmas. It also reminds us that even in the coldest and darkest times, there is always light and joy to be found." Holly hugged her grandmother tightly. "I love that story, Grandma. I want to be like Bellis and help others too." Her grandmother kissed her on the forehead. "That's the spirit of Christmas, my dear. Helping others and spreading love and joy." That Christmas, Holly made it her mission to spread as much love and joy as she could. She made holly wreaths with her mother and gave them to her neighbors, especially to those who were alone or needed a little extra cheer. She sang Christmas carols and helped her mother bake cookies to share with everyone in the village. One snowy afternoon, as Holly and her mother were finishing a batch of cookies, they heard a soft knock at the door. Holly ran to open it and found a little boy standing there, shivering in the cold. His clothes were thin and worn, and he looked very hungry. "Hello," Holly said kindly. "Would you like to come in and warm up?" The little boy nodded gratefully and stepped inside. Holly's mother wrapped him in a warm blanket and gave him a cup of hot cocoa. "What's your name?" Holly asked. "My name is Jack," the boy replied softly. "I don't have a home, and I've been wandering through the village looking for a place to stay." Holly's heart went out to Jack. She knew she had to help him, just like Bellis had helped the old woman in her grandmother's story. "You can stay with us, Jack," she said. "We have plenty of room, and we would love to have you spend Christmas with us." Jack's eyes filled with tears of gratitude. "Thank you so much," he said. "I thought I would have to spend Christmas alone." Holly and her family welcomed Jack into their home with open arms. They gave him warm clothes, a cozy bed to sleep in, and plenty of delicious food to eat. Jack quickly became part of the family, and he and Holly became the best of friends. On Christmas Eve, Holly and Jack decided to make a special holly wreath for their front door. They went into the forest and gathered the shiniest green leaves and the brightest red berries they could find. As they worked together, Holly told Jack the story her grandmother had shared with her. "Do you think the holly really has magical powers?" Jack asked, his eyes wide with wonder. "I believe it does," Holly replied with a smile. "It has the power to remind us of kindness and love, and that is the most magical power of all." That night, as they hung the holly wreath on the front door, they felt a warm, golden light fill their home. It was the same light that Bellis had brought to the old woman's house so many years ago. Holly and Jack knew that the spirit of Christmas was with them, filling their hearts with love and joy. On Christmas morning, Holly and Jack woke up early, eager to see what surprises the day would bring. They found presents under the tree, but the greatest gift of all was the love and happiness they shared with their family and friends. Holly and Jack spent the day visiting their neighbors, bringing holly wreaths and cookies to everyone they met. They sang carols and spread Christmas cheer, just like Bellis had done so many years ago. As the sun set on Christmas Day, Holly and Jack sat by the fireplace with their family, feeling warm and content. Holly's grandmother smiled at them, her eyes twinkling with pride. "You have both done a wonderful job of spreading love and joy," she said. "You have shown that the true magic of Christmas is in the kindness we share with one another." Holly and Jack hugged their grandmother tightly. They knew that they would always carry the spirit of Christmas in their hearts, just like the holly wreath on their front door. The moral of the story. This story teaches us that Christmas is a time for kindness and helping others. Just like the fairy Bellis, we can spread love and joy by thinking of those who might need a little extra care and warmth. The holly reminds us that even in the darkest and coldest times, we can always find light and happiness by being kind and loving to each other. Let us remember to share our love and kindness with everyone, especially during the Christmas season.